Okay, well, welcome everybody, and we have a fun chat today about Xero as an ecosystem. And while we are going to be talking about Xero, this is also equally applicable to QuickBooks, somewhat so for Sage. But I think first to start a bit more context in it, Xero, QuickBooks, and Sage are accounting softwares. They're effectively the software you need to run any kind of small business. Once you start getting into large companies, you use different platforms together. But considering that 60% of the GDP is made by small businesses, well, small and medium enterprises, they will most likely be using either Sage, Xero, or QuickBooks. Now, Xero is unique as it started as a completely cloud-based offering. And it's a New Zealand company, and it's now worldwide. I think they have over 3.5 million customers. Now, it makes this very interesting because it's changed the way business runs and accounting works for a lot of companies. So much so that large accountancy firms now are starting to reinvent themselves. And I don't know if you heard it on the radio, and you'll hear an accountancy firm referring to them as business advice now. Because a lot of what you used to have to pay accountants for, bookkeepers, most people can do themselves under Xero. And you get access, all these platforms have basically partner access. So you can be an advisor and you can have full access to your client's products. Now, as much fun as it is to talk about accountancy, the reason why it is so important to be aware of what's happening in this space is that it's now pushed all the offerings into, instead of having an ERP that covers all your needs as a small business, you get to now pick and choose what you need when you need it. So it depends what you're specializing in is what you're going to be looking into. So, for example, Xero is very, very good at accounts. It excels at simplicity as well design. However, if you're looking for inventory management, it is abysmal. If you want to do e-commerce, no luck with that. I mean, it is just accounting for accounts. And as it is cloud-based, it does have a lot of integrations. So the first one, and I'm going to share my screen now. So you can all see now, this is Xero. So this is the demo account, which if you start looking at doing APIs for Xero, this is what you will find. And you can have a demo account which has Xero generated data and it refreshes. Now, if you see here under your account, it links directly to your bank. So everything you spend or receive automatically gets transferred. So all you need to do is reconcile it on the screen. And it will show you, oh, okay, this came from my bank. Who did it go? Here, I got a payment from them, from Ridgeway, and I have an open invoice. So I click OK, and that's it. You're done. You don't have to go through paper records to try to figure out where the money came from and who owes you money and who doesn't owe you money. But this is a very basic integration they have with your banks, and has all the top-rated security, as well as everything you need to know where you are in your business. You can get all your reports. You can also have cash flow. And you can see exactly what's happening, what it thinks if you're going to run out of money. Hey, look, we will have money at the end of the month. Hooray. Now, we're not going to go through how to use Xero because this is, again, is mainly for bookkeeping, accountancy. The interesting part is the ecosystem it's created. Because it's good at only one thing, it requires a lot of help to get everything else in there. In this, it's done through their API integrations. There's a few different levels of partnerships you can have with Xero, but these are effectively you need to go through the process to register yourself as if you have a different product that helps, that integrates with Xero. We'll go through that in a little bit. But initially, we'll go through, they have an app store. Now, if we can see, you have, it is a matter of seeing what you need help with. If you want help with additional reports that maybe you don't have, you can use these guys. If you want to tidy your stock, if you need to get payments. So all these integrate directly in it. So which you can do when you send an invoice, you will have on your footer, pay now. So if when you all start your own businesses, you can have immediate payments. Especially Go Cardless is an interesting one because they started very small as a way to get recurring payments. So if you sell a subscription, that deals a lot with it. Now, they've grown where they've effectively replaced direct debit mandates. So now as a small business, you can put direct debit through a third party, but it's much faster, easier to do than going through the bank. You can see here, effectively, you will have Xero that does all the Xero things and just through the API integration talks to the third party app that you're dealing with. Now, to show you an example, we'll do inventory. And we'll pick Unleashed, say we can find them. You see this because I'm a partner, but you can get an overview, a video, it explains to you exactly how everything works in a few bits. Plus you get ratings. And yes, everybody puts time to put ratings in apparently. Now, what makes this interesting is that now I've already joined in, like in a cooking show, something I've prepared earlier. I've linked both the demo company and an Unleashed demo company. So, as you see, this is inventory management, meant to be for you to sell your stock, know where your stock is, be able to have all the accounts. But the interesting part goes in integration. They also have their version of an app store. And as you can see here, we have Xero and it's active. Now, we can dictate in a very direct way, where do we want everything to talk to itself and how we want it to be set up. As well as imagine. So say we used to run on Xero, we now have taken this. If we want to import our suppliers, just click import now. Runs through the thing, it's done. And now if we go into to our suppliers, it's here. It's pulled all the details from the supplier. If we go to sales, if we want to enter our clients, apologies. It has pulled again also all the details from Xero. Even so that I can set a credit limit on Unleashed, which will use the API interface to sync with Xero to see how much they owe. So you now have the data of both platforms that apply different job models, so different roles. And this is where the beauty of all this integration, which you wouldn't normally be exposed to normally, it is a new field that's developing. Because as you can see here, if we go through all the products in the App Store, all these companies are built to do their thing, but I've appreciated the importance of doing an API integration and being able to transfer all the data in a way that is invisible to the end user. Okay, now, as we said, the companies are built so that from the ground up, you can start writing your own APIs and understand it. So it's all publicly accessible. They will have developer portals. As you can see here, I'll give you a full a full explanation of all the API calls you can use when writing the protocols. Now, even how do you want to get started? Sign up for your free account, you do your demo company, and then you can start working as it. You can register at the end as a developer partner, which eventually, after a while, you do get business out of that. If you see here, for example, back to Unleashed, they also have their API calls published. So you can just very quickly be able to get all the data you need and then try to marry the both of them to each other. And does anybody have any questions? This is a lot more fun with interaction instead of hearing me talk nonstop. Oh, I see Paul getting unmuted.
Yeah, I mean, no question at the moment, but like, I mean, well, there is one question. I mean, I just want to know. So, like, in terms of this ecosystem, yeah. So, like, is it so who actually kind of uses it? So, like, is it more for business users or customers, or is it on the retail side, or?
Who is part of the ecosystem? I mean, it is multifaceted. So you will have the small business owner or the SME owner, which is small, medium enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Them and the management team there will work with all these platforms to do their daily operations, do their day-to-day. Now, as far as a client goes, for example, if you're the end user, if you buy, for example, on Shopify is great for e-commerce. They're okay for inventory, and they don't do accounting. Actually, they're notoriously bad for accounting, but they're the best e-commerce platform on the block. They link directly with Xero. If you want to then piggyback an inventory management, you can put Unleashed in between. So then you will have a flow, for example, that takes you from. It will take you from order coming in on Shopify from the client. That order now gets transferred to your inventory management, where it gets fulfilled. Once that gets fulfilled, you can also have an additional app which does all your shipping and postage. So automatically books the collection with your courier, sends a notification to the client, and sends the accounts to the accounting people, and the money goes to the bank. So all these effectively, while you are working with 4 different platforms, it's a seamless transition for every part of every process in it. So the one that effectively would champion all this would be the business owner, because they benefit the most from being able to do it.
Okay.
Now, the ones that are pushing a lot of this is the accountants, because that makes their life easier as well. Because I think that's kind of like the most trusted relationship at the moment for SME owners is with their accountants, because they know where all the bodies are buried. They know exactly how their business runs and where everything is, and where the inefficiency comes in. But it's coming more and more where, say, if you're a business that you use a bespoke piece of software that is not cloud-based, but you want to use your Xero for accounts, you can write an API call between both of them, where you get the best of both worlds. An example of this is a few years ago, I was helping a company that did. It was a large manufacturer, so they had a large workforce, which means a lot of clocking in, clocking out, and pay slips. So this company was paying everybody weekly, so over 100 people getting paid weekly. They were doing their payroll through Xero.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Xero is great for doing payroll. If you have salary people, you just click a button, pay everybody, and off it goes. Then you just send money to people's accounts and you're done with it. It will link directly with HMRC, as well as if you're filing your VAT return, you click file and it goes straight to HMRC. This is If you ever hear the making that tax digital, that's what it is. It wants your platform to go, all your transactions go directly to the government. They
Yeah,
have access to all that.
yeah. I mean, so I was about to say that what it's trying to do is kind of streamline everything, and also kind of try to kind of reduce any bottlenecks, or not bottlenecks, but like loopholes.
Yeah, I mean, the best part is you can't cheat. The worst part is you can't cheat.
Yeah.
So, and this is where we're moving into the future. Slowly, they are bringing in more and more regulations. I mean, at the moment, you need to be able to declare all your transactions onto the government if you're VAT registered, so that they can see, to file your VAT. Within the next 5 years, you're gonna see they're gonna be demanding you include attachments with each transaction, such as a receipt, for them to verify that you are declaring what you're declaring. So it is a push for a greater and greater transparency.
Yeah.
And-
I mean, and also I think that where you said that they're going to be asking for documentation, so the accountant does not want to kind of have like a book of receipts for him to upload. So then this system will like.
Yeah. So you can have at the moment your email. If you get emailed receipts, they can be emailed to you. You will get a specific Xero email account. And then they use voodoo magic to make that into an invoice that gets already put into your section to pay bills. And from there, you can manage your payments. And it'll have all the details ready for you to ready to send out all the things to HMRC and to the clients and to the bank. Now, one of the things that's happened with this as well is that it is streamlining operations much more than you normally expect software to do. These software packages now have gone to a place where, while everybody right now is talking about, oh, AI,
Yeah.
the amount of streamlining that this has done 5 years ago to now is unbelievable. Going back to, usually you'd get an accountant to do your year-end accounts, your VAT returns, and then your bank reconciliation would either be done in-house by a bookkeeper you would have in-house, or them. You can do virtually all that by yourself, except the end of year accounts. All your monthly accounts, you generate that. You can send everything to the government. You can bypass a lot of basic services. Not that it's recommended, because you still need the expertise, but the ability is there. But going back to my original example, where this company was doing their payroll, and because it was over 100 employees and it was manual input of all the time into Xero, they were taking the better part of 2 days a week just to run payroll for hourly employees. Now, they had a time and attendance system, which was site-based, that ran out of one computer on the company. We managed to get an API written between the site-based machine and Xero, where now it communicates exactly the times worked for every employee. So it's reduced the time to process payroll from 2 days to an hour. And these are the types of improvements you're seeing that were just impossible to think about 5 years ago.
So in terms of the time there and the KPI, yeah. So then could you just I missed that. So could you say that again, please? What was the improvement?
We went from taking 2 days a week to run payroll to 30 minutes to an hour.
Wow.
And it's just, you see this in a lot of different parts of it. I mean, being able to keep accurate stocks and with the costs involved, that is a similar scenario. Where to be able to reconcile, what you've ordered versus what's here, what you've paid, etc. Now you can just do it almost real time.
Okay.
You can almost see your real-time books as well. It's as things get posted, you can run reports and observe it directly. So you no longer have to wait to the end of the year to have a full in-depth review. You can do it monthly or weekly.
Wow.
But
Yeah. Oh, I can wait. It's fine.
no, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't have a business or anything, but is it subscription based eventually? And how user friendly is it for a business to set up and begin that whole navigation? Unless there's someone on, on call to take them through the process. Thanks.
This is one of it's not a simple answer, if you will. It is a very, very straightforward, simple platform if you've ever dealt with these types of things in the past. So if you understand how a business runs and basic accounting involved with it, it's very straightforward. The learning curve is not as much the platform operation, it's the actual logic behind it. So the first principles that you need. So because this is where we have a real world application of a direct impact of tech on people and on businesses, how work gets done. And it is something where this has built for people that have a basic level of familiarity with the subject, where you can get help. I mean, there is help, and usually it's relatively easy to get going. They always advise you talk to an accountant to help you set it up properly at the beginning, because then it's always easier to set it up right than spend a lot of time fixing stuff. But yeah, the other thing that it is surprisingly affordable, because I think Xero is, I want to say £35 a month. They've changed it recently, but this is replacing software platforms that are £1,500 a month. So, I have lied. For your basic one, it's the cheapest one you can get is £7 a month, and the most expensive one is £24.50. So, as I said, it is for what you get. It's extremely economical, but it is very powerful, and it does help you if you're going to start a business. It helps you on the right foot.
Is it just some businesses? Is this, I guess what I'm trying to say, is it targeted, or any old business can do it? Sign up.
It's in the scope of business that think the differentiation would come between small and medium business and large. A small business is a small business. It doesn't matter if you're a restaurant or if you are an MOT station. You have the same business requirements to run a business. And this is where the API conversation comes in, because then you start talking about more specialized platforms. So if you have, for example, a restaurant, they're going to have a full-on point of sale system that specializes for restaurants. It'll have the menu, it'll have all the add-ons, it'll have all the things, so that the servers just go doot, 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 doot. This is what your bill is. Now in the background, you will have those checks will be coming into Xero, and you can see kind of almost, depending on how in-depth the integration is, you can see all the transactions that went in that day. If you really get them a higher level of point of sale for a restaurant, they will also put in the inventory used. So you'll get your instant food cost. Now, if you're an MOT station, yes, you have your equipment's expensive, but your biggest expense is going to be the labor from the team. So then you run your payroll through there, and you can see how much you spent on payroll. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thanks.
So yeah, it's the core function is a one size fits all because it pretty much fits everybody but large business. And where it does fall apart for large businesses is that the way a lot of large businesses work is effectively a business within a business within a business. So you need to have a lot of parent-child relationships, and Xero only allows for one business. Any other questions? See, Joe has many questions.
I've actually got a lawnmower going off in my garden. I think it's my dad, so apologies. I was going to say to do the apps and like the different apps you can have in the store. Is there? I know you said there's like the review rating. Wait.
Yep. Oh, wait for the lawnmower. Oh, now he's typing it. There we go. How can you tell which is the best option? Well, go with reviews, but again, it's very rarely do people enter start business without getting some sort of professional advice from an accountant at some point, and that they can usually refer you to apps that they're familiar with and how they work. Because there's clever ways that the apps talk to each other, because it's not always as simple as, do this and do that. There's ways that they have to do. And no, they're not free. In many cases, and actually I'm going to say in most cases, the apps that Xero connects to are significantly more expensive than Xero. So much so that where we said, Xero, for example, is the most expensive is £24. Now, if you go with something like an Unleashed, you pay per user based on minimum of 3 users. And I think that's £350 a month. So it's something like £60-70 a user. Whereas Xero is unlimited users. And then you have all your different user rights. But this is where it all becomes very business specific. But it is the fact that it's now, you can almost integrate anything if you understand it properly. Whereas I think a few years ago, I had a client also, they were the retail arm of a quarry. So they needed to know the accurate cost of the slabs of granite they were selling. And they had specialized software that could tell them how to maximize the cuts on the granite. So we had to get an API written between that and the inventory management so it could properly allocate the cost. Because in business, whether you like it or not, it's all about money. It's where you're spending everything, where is everything going to, and can you track it? Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. I think you stopped now as well. Thank you.
Anybody else? So other thing I also mentioned is if you do start going towards the developer route and you want to write APIs or play around and see what you can achieve, you can start a free account. And they will, once you get accepted as a developer, then you just have a free forever account pretty much. So the idea is they're encouraging you to fix problems for people that bring them more business and you more business. It's one of these nice symbiotic relationships. Anybody else? And I hope the main point that I wanted to show everybody is that this is an ecosystem that is in kind of sits in the underbelly of almost every small business in the United Kingdom. And that is, I think, in about 130 countries as well. It's a global product. Now, this is where every time I bring it up, I'm surprised that, because I see it every day, for me it's very familiar, but for people outside of it isn't. And it's a different type of tech discipline you can start to look at is how to get different platforms to talk to each other. Because now, as I said, everything is becoming so specialized. You know, if you look, if you want a scheduling app, you can find an app in here that will schedule and then ping the costs across over to Xero so that you get your payroll done right. So this is where all. Sorry,
does this work
go
in
ahead.
Nigeria? Does it work in Nigeria?
it works anywhere.
Okay.
It should actually. If I'm not mistaken, it does. It does have some country specific changes. I mean, depending on what the tax law is in Nigeria, I don't know if you can do, digital tax or
Okay.
not. But
Okay.
it is. Let's see. Apparently, yes.
Okay.
That's what they say. As well as there is an extra level of, if you want them, that on the whole ecosystem, they have their own support portal, but they also have like a giant community that they have as well. Which I've never understood why people post to that, because the support portal goes faster, but hey, that's just personal experience. But there's always, you can just put any question in with Xero and you'll get one of the support topics as well. Let's see, is this Joe's question? So yeah, I guess it's just to summarize it. This is something that if you might not come into, you might never see something like this, but if you're interested in how to, to connect different things, and it's a different way of problem solving, as opposed to find something that works for everybody, you can always get two pieces to talk to each other. And this is where a lot of these companies are focusing a lot of their time and effort into this, is what do they integrate with? And the easier the integration out of the box is, the more successful they become. Because then it solves a lot of the problems. I mean, there's one company that all it does, the only reason it exists is, remember how I told you how Shopify is tremendously horrible to deal with for reconciling your payments. And I think to understand that it's not Shopify's fault, it's credit card company's fault. And if you've ever worked with credit card company, if you ever accept credit cards, the way it works is, say, I have a restaurant and everybody pays with credit card. Basically, the credit card company will then decide that all the transactions between Tuesday at 3 p.m. and Friday at 2 a.m. are going to go on one bank transfer. So all of a sudden you have this big lump of money that came into your account, and you don't know what payments went against this. And they also take their fees out, so it doesn't really match very nicely. And this is another example where I've dealt with companies before where it used to take 2 days to reconcile, and reconciling is all matching payments versus your sales. And it will take them 2 days to do this just for a small online shop. There's now a company that was created a few years ago. All they do is create a bridge where they now know this is how many transactions, this how much money, there you go. And that's it. So again, it goes down from 2 days to, you don't really have to think about it because it's automated. So it allows you to fix a lot of problems and effectively make much more efficient work. And letting you do what you're good at doing and not what you don't like doing.
Just another question there, Michael. So, is there any scope for, like, in the future as well? Is there, can it go even further? Like, is there potential for it to be even more efficient, or is there potential to make accountants obsolete almost, or you're still going to need those expertise?
AI. No, you always need accountant expertise because they understand tax law, and that's what they've learned. That's what they know what to do. Because if you don't do things right, at least here, you can have severe penalties, as well as if you start doing dodgy stuff, you can get banned for being a director in the UK. So they are limitations, and they know what's right or wrong. Plus, they need to sign your accounts when you submit, and if they're not happy with what you've done, they won't sign them. So there's always a room, but it is not what it used to be in the past. Right. Last round of questions. Okay, so I will stop recording.